What if the largest money operation in human history didn't happen on a trading floor? What if it happened quietly, behind closed doors, inside institutions that publicly swear they protect you? What if $21 trillion didn't just disappear? What if it was moved, hidden, reclassified, buried beneath layers of accounting language designed not to be read by ordinary people? Because if that's true, then inflation is not natural, debt is not accidental, and your shrinking future is not a coincidence. What if the system isn't broken? What if it's working perfectly, on behalf of someone else? And tonight, we unseal the files. Before we start, comment below. Where are you watching from right now? City or country? Let's see how far the truth travels. And if you're new here, subscribe, because this channel doesn't bring comfort, it brings clarity. The official story goes like this. In 1913, after a series of banker panics, America needed stability, so the Federal Reserve was born. Its stated mission wasn't to create wealth, but to stabilize money, not to control, but to manage. And its real power isn't just printing money, its real power is deciding who survives a collapse. In the Great Depression, thousands of small banks vanished, but the largest ones, they lived, they even grew stronger. In the 1970s, runaway inflation crushed the savings of ordinary families, but financial assets, owned by the wealthy, soared in value. When the global financial system cracked, the Federal Reserve didn't just lower interest rates. But some people did, and what they found pointed to something truly terrifying. That 2008 wasn't just a one-time bailout, it was a blueprint. It was a practice run for a much larger operation. Now, here's where the story goes quiet. Years after the crisis, internal audits and independent investigations revealed something that no central bank ever wanted made public: that the cumulative total of these emergency programs had moved and created a sum nearing $21 trillion. Let that sink in. 21 trillion. This wasn't in one single account. It wasn't a single transfer. It happened through dozens of facilities, hundreds of transactions, and thousands of so-called temporary programs. But here's the key word: temporary. These programs never ended. They were extended. They were rolled forward. They were renamed. They were disguised as simple policy updates, minor accounting changes, or technical adjustments. But in reality, they never stopped. The machine built in 2008 was never turned off. It just went into stealth mode. And when investigators tried to trace the money, it didn't end up where you'd think it should. It didn't go back to the Treasury. It didn't go to Congress to be reallocated. It certainly didn't find its way to taxpayers. They were told, and I quote, "You wouldn't understand, but you wouldn't understand" is not an explanation. It's not transparency. It's camouflage. It's a wall built to keep you out. If you follow the wires long enough, if you trace the flow of this digital money, a pattern emerges. It's not random. It's not chaotic. It's structured. It's methodical. Money is issued by the central bank in the morning. It appears in the financial markets by the afternoon. And it's used to back massive high-risk financial bets by evening. This money isn't flowing into the real economy, building factories or creating jobs. It's orbiting above it, trapped inside the world of speculative finance, inside derivatives markets, inside shadow banking systems that most people don't even know exist. This wasn't a rescue operation for the economy. It was a rerouting of wealth on a scale never before imagined. It was a transfer of public power into private hands, hidden behind a firewall of complexity, and buried deep inside this maze. One name appears again, and again, and again. It's a name connected to the creation of the Fed, to the bailouts of every crisis, and to the very architecture of this shadow financial system. And when you finally see it, you won't believe who it is. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next part of this investigation. Stay curious. These emergency facilities operate under a different set of rules. The Fed declares these assets as having value, and in the world of finance, that declaration is all that matters. Money starts flowing in. We're not talking millions or billions, we're talking trillions. Trillions of dollars created instantly, out of thin air. It's not a gentle rain that nourishes everyone, it's a geyser that shoots straight to the top. This money always rises upward. It goes to the big banks. It goes to the giant financial institutions. Where doesn't it go? It never flows down to the workers. It never reaches the renters struggling to make ends meet. It certainly doesn't help the savers who diligently put money aside, only to see its value evaporate. This is the fundamental design of the system. It's a one-way street for wealth, and it's headed in the wrong direction for most of us. To really understand this, let's use an analogy. Picture this. You run a massive glamorous casino. Your entire business depends on a handful of high-rolling VIP gamblers. These gamblers make enormous bets, and for a while, they win big. But eventually, their luck turns. They're on the verge of going completely bankrupt. They go bust. They can't pay their debts to you. Of course not. That would be rational, but it would also be disastrous for your bottom line. Instead, you make a secret deal. You pull them into a back room and give them an unlimited supply of casino chips. These aren't real money. They're just your own special chips. But to everyone else on the casino floor, they look exactly the same. So, these VIPs get to keep playing, making massive bets, knowing they can never truly lose. Meanwhile, the general public, the regular folks at the slot machines and blackjack tables, are still playing with their own hard-earned cash. They're playing a real game with real risk. The VIPs are playing with an infinite illusion. Now, let's replace the key players in that analogy. The casino, that's the Federal Reserve. The special unlimited chips, that's liquidity. The VIP gamblers, they are the megabanks, the giant investment firms, the too big to fail institutions. And the public, playing with real money and facing real consequences. That's you. That's me. That's all of us. This is the system we live in. At the very top, losses are magically erased. Failure becomes an artificial concept, something only for the little guy. For the biggest players, risk no longer matters. And this creates the most insidious poison in any economic system: moral hazard. Moral hazard is what happens when you know you'll be rescued no matter what. You stop fearing reality. You take bigger and bigger risks because there's no downside for you. The profits are yours to keep, and the losses No, this was done with money created from nothing, with a few keystrokes on a computer. So, who pays the bill for all of this? If it's not tax money, where does the cost go? It's a tax that was never declared, never voted on by your representatives, but it is devastatingly effective. You see it every day. Prices for gas, groceries, and housing rise relentlessly. But do your wages keep up? For most people, the answer is a resounding no. At the same time, the prices of asset stocks, real estate, fine art explode to astronomical heights. This widens the gap between the haves and the have-nots. Asset owners get richer just by holding on, while the value of labor, of a hard day's work, weakens. And millions of people feel like they're falling behind, like they're getting poorer, without ever fully understanding why. They work harder, but the finish line keeps moving further away. That feeling isn't in your head. It's the silent tax at work. The massive bailouts, the trillions of dollars of liquidity, they didn't fix the underlying problems. All they did was kick the can down the road. They fused the collapse into the future, making it bigger and more dangerous. The system we have today is faster, more leveraged, and more fragile than it was before the last crisis. It has become so dependent on this endless creation of liquidity that it cannot unwind itself. The system cannot confess its own flaws. It cannot admit fault. It must continue printing, continue creating this liquidity, or everything collapses. And what does that mean? It means the truth about how this system really works must remain buried. Or at least, until something finally breaks so spectacularly that it can no longer be ignored. If hearing all of this has unsettled you, good, it should. Question everything you're told by the officials and the financial media. Are we any wiser now than we were before the last crisis? Or are we just walking the exact same path, destined for the same cliff, only this time in better-looking suits?